You've probably heard about this show PLUR1BUS. It's a big budget Apple TV production, a science fiction series which a lot of people have been talking about and enjoying, but not me. I haven't heard about it until quite recently, and ever since I did, it has been driving me insane. And why, you ask? Well, this is what this video is about. But first, I need to make a crazy claim. And the claim is that you personally might benefit from finding out why I, a random YouTuber, has been driven insane by this PLUR1BUS show. And I'm not talking about just some kind of abstract, trickery, wordplay, technicality kind of benefit where I would say, oh, you're now more informed about the world. Oh, you learned something about me that's so beneficial. No, there's an actual benefit to watching the video. And if you watch the whole video and you think that was not true, feel free to call me out in the comments and even call me names if you want. Well, maybe don't call me names, but feel free to express your frustration. Before we get there though, let's make sure we all have an idea of what this PLUR1BUS show is about. So here's a super quick one-page summary, no spoilers beyond what the trailer already reveals. A virus has transformed human society beyond recognition. It changes how we process emotions, making people's empathy towards one another extreme. The entire human population is infected. Now there's no poverty or war, but such changes are not without a cost. The main character is quite unhappy in the transformed world. Early on, he meets a resistant, a person not affected by the virus, and decides to investigate in hopes of finding a cure. Wait, sorry, I think I messed up. Early on, he meets a resistant. That's completely wrong. It changes how we process emotions, making people happy and their empathy towards one another extreme. Okay, that's better. And then she is a resistant, a person not affected by the virus, and she hopes to find a cure. All right, now that's much better. Well, I'm glad we figured it out, but what kind of alternative reality shenanigans did just happen to my brain that I wrote a similar but slightly different summary of this show? Well, this is actually a summary of a book called Case Study in Empathy. And as you see on Amazon, it was released shortly before the show. And full disclosure, it is actually my book. One day I woke up to a text from a friend saying, hey, have you seen this PLUR1BUS show trailer? It kind of looks like they took your book's idea. And yeah, that's how I found out about the show. So what happened? Did they steal my book's idea and produce a show in 2 weeks? Or did I invent a time machine, go into the future and ripped off their idea to write a book? Well, obviously the answer is no, but still, what the hell? And I think this is an instance of what is called a multiple discovery phenomenon. Yeah, I thought it had a fancier name, like named after a specific person, like Mandela. But no, multiple discovery phenomenon, that's when people in different parts of the world simultaneously invent or propose something that is really similar, but they had no communication and kind of did it independently. And I'm glad I had to Google this because I forgot just how extensive a list of those discoveries is. And you should totally Google it too. It goes from things like heliocentric system to Einstein's formula E equals mc squared to things like telephone. And anyways, I think what really happens in those scenarios is that certain ideas are kind of ripening in our collective consciousness. And I don't mean this metaphysically. It's just ideas that are relevant to our time, ideas that are being circulated and thought about by different people. And then those different people decide to express those ideas. And one of the big questions that I think a lot of people have been asking themselves lately is, what is the role of emotions in our lives? On the one hand, emotions are what makes us human. In many ways, people think that without them, we're not really ourselves anymore. But at the same time, emotions can be exploited. Emotions can be misleading. If you just make your decisions based on emotions, it can create quite a horrible world. And sometimes emotions can be faked. There is true happiness, and then there is putting on a smile like some YouTubers have to do to keep their audiences engaged. Similarly, there's true compassion, love, and care, and sometimes it's very different from what our empathy suggests us do. For example, if you're a parent and your child begins to cry, on an empathic level, you might want to just cry with them, and maybe sometimes it's indeed the best thing to do. But other times, the best thing to do for you as a parent is to show them how to be resilient, how to handle their emotions, and so on. So emotions don't seem like a universal or even a great decision-making tool, but without them, we're also not ourselves. So how do we reconcile those things? And I think this is the question that was bothering a lot of people. A lot of people were thinking about it, especially lately. That's why we have different movies exploring what would happen if our emotions changed in drastic ways. PLUR1BUS explored it in a series in one way. I explored it in my book in a different way. Thankfully, they're not as similar as to if you watched one, you shouldn't watch another because it's going to be boring. You're going to know all the plot twists. If that happened, I would be knocking at the door of some mental facility to voluntarily surrender me in. If I literally wrote exactly the same book, that would be scary. But now I promised you that you're going to benefit from watching this video. What was that about? Well, first, I hope you enjoy learning about the multiple discovery effect and being reminded how awesome it is. If you like PLUR1BUS, you're now aware that there's a book with a similar but different setting that is potentially very enjoyable. But, you know, that's trickery. I promised I was not going to trick you. So here's the real deal. Next month, fingers crossed, barring some organizational delays, my book, Case Study in Empathy, is going to be released in an audiobook form on Audible. And when that happens, I'm going to get 25 codes to give out to people to listen to the book for free. And I'm willing to commit 15 out of those codes to the viewers of this video. There is only one condition. You need to be truly interested in listening to my book and not just collecting freebies. Because, as I said, I only have 25 of those codes, and I'd rather them go to people who will actually read the book and hopefully enjoy it. If you satisfy this stringent condition, scroll down and you'll see in the pinned comment there's a link to a Google form. The first 15 people to fill it out adequately will receive this promo code for a free ebook. Audiobook, not ebook, sorry. And of course, if you happen to miss this opportunity, I would still really appreciate if you get the book on Amazon